Trying to figure out whether or not your camera's working.
I couldn't do it. My cord got caught. Yeah. To make a an appearance coming to you live from the subarctic, 150 miles from the Arctic Circle. It is now dark enough that you can see the night, which is important because the aurora of the Northern Lights were out this morning for a little bit. It was kind of neat. Welcome back.
And what does that mean exactly when you say you can see the night? Does that mean you can see it on the horizon, or you actually get a few minutes of dark?
You can see the stars. we
So
go
dusk.
we go a long time where you cannot see the stars because the sky is so light. Either the sun is out, the 24 hours of daylight, or the sun isn't far enough below the horizon for it to be dark enough to see stars. And now, so we have a full star field, and it looks like a new moon. So there was no moonlight. It was very, very dark last night, which was nice because you could see the aurora wasn't very bright, but you could see it. It was active, very active.
Okay. Yeah. So for, depending, let's say that 8 o'clock was sundown, and you're talking somewhere around 6:45, 7 o'clock, when it's kind of over the horizon, but there's still plenty of light and the
Yes.
stars are being shown. Okay.
Yeah, and
I
you
get
can't see the stars right now. It's pitch black out early. This was like 3 a.m.
it. Okay. It's like, because I can see your little slit over there and it's bright.
Oh yeah. It's 20 to 8. It's nice and bright out right now. So it's morning came a couple hours ago. As we expand in October, we'll hit 12 hours of daylight, and then it'll change very, very quickly. Where by December 21st, the winter solstice, we will have 3 hours and 50 minutes of daylight, and it's really gray because the sun rises on the southern horizon, cruises along, and then sets on the southern horizon. That's the best we get.
Okay. And you did this on purpose.
Yeah, that's yeah. I followed my wife up here.
Got to do that. All right. So today I'm actually in California. We're at our house in La Puente, and should be making it back to Vegas to the the cave in the sky tomorrow, I think. And so I'll be happy to be back home. It's been 5 weeks out of Vegas, and I'm ready to be back.
Oh man, Jesse Reyes is calling your name.
Yeah, I got to go over there and get some books signed. It was funny. He asked something, Jesse. Actually, not Jesse. That's his wife, but Mike. Um, anyway, Mike asked something, and I'm like, dude, I'm in Edinburgh. There's no way I'm dropping by to do anything right now, but happy to. And it was interesting because some of the fans asked him to sign something, and I'm like, well, sign it. And he's like, but it's your books. I'm like, but you're Mike of Jesse Ray's Barbecue. I mean,
Yeah.
that works out well. So if our tips for new authors is the actual title of this particular one, and one that is so appropriate is talk with a local restaurant or talk with something that's local and put it into your book with their permission, and you will have someone that is going to have so much fun. So Mike will talk to me. People visit from around the world. Obviously, Las Vegas is an international destination, but people will come in from around the world. And he goes, "It is my best advertising by far for people to show up and to
That
see,
is cool.
This."
I took an alternate route. I added a dentist, my local dentist. So he does not get visitors from all over. But anyway, Ingersoll Family Dentistry right here in Fairbanks. If you want mostly pain-free dental work, it's the place to go.
There you go. I don't think that you're selling that very mostly pain-free.
It's much better than Dr. Payne, Payne, and his practice. So we're not going to go there. But yes, something like that. It's great. It's a great addition, and for Jesse Ray. And we've had that barbecue. We had that last year at Mickey and Russ's wedding vow renewal, and they were incredibly accommodating and great food.
Yeah, it is really good food. So if you get a chance, you're going to be in Vegas, by all means, Jesse Ray's Barbecue. It's like a block and a half or something from the new stadium. So it'll be really hard for you to miss where it is. Last time I spoke to him before I left Vegas, he said that he was looking into expanding. That they've done what they can do with that literal hole in the wall place. They've done a whole bunch, and so he's going to see what it's going to take to expand. And I hope he chooses somewhere in my area. He's like, I think I'll go to North Vegas. I'm like, that's too far. That's okay. I'll just come back here.
Yeah. Maintain this outlet.
I had to
For
do
me,
that because I need to take. I think I have a picture of where I wrote the beats for, or the concepts for, um, the first
Browns.
story of Brownstone. Yeah, that table right there. I might have the actual book somewhere and take pictures going, here are the things. Oh, there's the barbecue sauce stain right
Yep,
there.
right
Be
there.
able to
That's
do it.
great. So that's a hint, a tip, a trick. My End Times Alaska is extremely popular up here in Alaska, and Fairbanks especially. That it's placed right here in Fairbanks, so I use a lot of the local roads and stuff like that. I don't use any place names besides like Fort Wainwright and Fred Meyer's grocery store and stuff like that, but nothing in a bad light. So it's all cool. And then Chena Hot Springs, they kind of love me out there because of the books, because that's where a lot of it takes place.
Excellent. So, why did you want to do tips for new authors?
Uh, when I ran a question on 20 books to 50K, a number of people asked some for stuff, and 10 tips for new authors seemed to be something that I think everybody can get something out of it. Plus, we can waffle and discuss things and go offline and do whatever, because it's 10 tips. We'll probably have 74 various tips, and some will foot stomp more than others, but it's still, everybody's journey is different, right?
True.
So that's why I picked it, just because it's extemporaneous, because I know you're jet lagged to high heaven, and I'm in between books. If you're not jet lagged, well, then you are a superhuman being.
So let me lay down, I guess, a couple of default items. For me, everything that I'm going to be suggesting is going to come out of my focus. And my focus is I want fans who want to reread my stories and I want to make money. And making money is a predominant. So a lot of my hints, tips, suggestions is going to come from that mindset. And if you have another mindset, which is totally fine and I support, just recognize I might not hit tips for you because I'm not in that mindset. If you ask me, if you're at 20 books and you ask me the question, I can probably answer something, but I'd need to know that in the first place. Which direction am I coming from? Example, I want my books in a bookstore. How could I do it as an indie author? That's a completely different answer. You certainly can do it by first selling and then being made aware that you are a well-selling, get an agent. They can then pitch ideas to traditional publishers who would get you into bookstores. That would be one way. So there are multiple ways to skin the cat. If you're literary minded and want awards, I actually have very few ideas on that one because that's not my focus whatsoever.
No,
So, so can't help on that one too well. But anyway, for mine, so what is yours, Craig? What is your focus? What mindset are you coming from to answer these questions?
for mine, it's looking back, and 3 years ago, what would I have done differently? And not a whole lot. I think it's important to learn as you go. You can learn from other people's mistakes, learn from their successes, and incorporate and then build your brand and your stuff that way. I try to remember the stuff that I did right. I did have a newsletter sign up in the back of my books. I had that right away because BookFunnel was very accommodating with their free stuff, and then MailChimp as well at that time. So I integrated everything and had the ability to sign people up to a newsletter. Now I didn't push that as hard as I could have. So getting that, and I didn't start that until after I published my first book. So it's not like, oh my God, I got to have 1,000 people on my newsletter list before I publish. And no, not at all. It it may be a benefit, but if you're signing people up to your newsletter and they've never read any of your work, that's really, really hit or miss. So it's, if you sign them up because, hey, here's a short story of my stuff, and they sign up, they like it, and they don't bail on you, well, then maybe they're on board for your style and your the substance of your writing, and that's important because those are your fans who will become your core super fans, and the ones that uh, when you publish a book, these ones will buy your book. So if that's 100, 500, 1,000, 10,000, I publish a new book. If I have 10,000 core readers, that's 10,000 sales page reads. And you can look and say, if I'm going to make $20,000 on this launch, then I can spend all this money on editing a cover, a custom cover, whatever it is. But if you know that you're only going to sell 200 guaranteed because of the core readership, so that's why it's important to start and build those and parse those. The people who sign up from the back of your book, those are gold. So if you can have a separate feed to make sure you identify those people, because those are the ones who said, I read this book and I like your style. Make sure, and I did not do this, and I did suffer a lot until I finally asked, hey, who are my core people who love my stuff? But that's a kind of an ass backwards way to do it. And you really want to just make sure that you identify them right up front, that if they sign up out of your book, that means they signed up because they liked your book. And that makes them as precious as gold. So that's one thing I would do differently. Another is my first 4 books were in 3 different genres. If you're going to write a series all at one time. Don't jump back and forth. Well, I'm interested in this.
Okay,
you
well,
can do that, but if you want to make money.
All right. So you're hitting an interesting aspect, and one of them is there. Multiple people have tried it multiple ways, right? I remember a story of someone I think who wrote 6 different half novels. Might have been 3. I don't remember the exact number, but they wrote half novels, and it was the novels that people were clamoring for that they then went on and finished.
Okay.
What do you believe is the opportunity when you went 3 genres? Did all of them hit? Did none of them hit? Did you not know that 2 hit?
2 hit. Yep.
Okay. So you could hopefully close off 1. Now, what were the size of those first 2 novels?
The first one was 100,000 words, and the second one was 70,000 words. Okay. And the third one was 82,000 words, and the fourth one was 60,000. So I had pretty substantial, those first 4 were pretty substantial works.
And you, at that time, you had nothing to do. You're in Alaska. You weren't running any conferences. You were writing all the time. So what was your word output per week-ish?
Oh, now that one, the first book, 100,000 words, I wrote in 61 days, but it was my first ever book. After that, the longest I've taken to write a single book is 28 days. So those books were only taking a month.
Now, we've been testing here at LMVP in different ways to release, and we do notice that the really long books, so in this case, I'm talking 150 minimum, but typically 180,000 plus, we can skate by. A new release in 60 days is probably the sweet spot, or potentially sooner, but 60 days, and then 90 to 120 is the maximum. Back then, we were doing 70,000 words, and we needed them out every 28 to 35 days tops. So what would you say related to, you just did 100,000 words. How do you know whether or not to go do another 80 to 100,000 words in the second book if you don't know if it's going to sell? And certainly if you're a brand new author, you don't have that, right? So what I remember with Scott Paul was I suggested, and this was actually the first 4 people on 20 Books to 50K, which were my fans. I said, look, I wrote 70,000 words, whatever. I just so happened to know that I was going to go book 1, book 2, book 3, advertise, and see what's going on. Instead of writing 210,000 words, which for me was a lot, and not something that I cared to do over and over again, I said, why don't we, and since Amazon's not telling us, right? They don't tell us how far into a book a person goes. They either buy it or you get KU, but you have no idea how many KUs that is. I said, take your first book, break it down into 3 parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3. Maybe they're 30,000 words a piece, and sell them like that and find out what's your read through. Are people excited about it? That you committed 90,000 words to a series, and it's complete theoretically. That was, and then I think that really still has a lot of value today. When I was talking with Martha Carr in trying to figure out, some of these series, because we have the ability and the capability, we might go 3 or 4 books before we decide whether or not to kill a series. But is that the most effective solution? I don't think it is. And I think that we've become big, and it's the solution we're choosing to do.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of waste associated with that.
Yeah. So with that, that's time. Time is money. Trying to find out 20 books. Remember, got to make money for me. What are the series that people want to read? Which are the ones that resonate with people? And trying to get that information. I even put at one time, write 3,000 words, give it to a few beta readers. If they're not clamoring for the next 3,000, either fix what you have or try another subject.
Yeah.
So maybe spend a week and do 5 or 6 different 3,000 word treatises.
Yeah.
So
And
go
that's,
ahead.
I didn't have any readers at that time, so I was challenged, and I was retired. I didn't need the money, so I didn't need them to sell for any kind of viability, just my own ego stroke. So I put them out, and the 100,000 word book was the one I sold to a traditional publishing house, right, an imprint from Simon and Schuster. So that one they picked up. So I got a lot of guidance. Here's what you need to do. Here's this, and here's we envision this as a 4-book series. We're going to split the 100,000 word into 2 books, and we're going to wait until the 3rd book is out before we really hit it hard. And they did that. They published the 1st book. I'm like, man, this sucks. Book's not ranking. Nothing's going good. Nobody likes me. And then book 2 and then book 3 came out, and all of a sudden the whole series is a best-selling series, rocking the charts, selling. For Post-Apoc at that time, we were selling, 1,500 copies a week of the
So
series.
wait a minute. All right. At that time, let's talk about this first, because I don't know that you and I have ever unpacked the company and that effort right there. Because 1,500 books in the series, were they wide or were they Amazon exclusive?
They were wide.
All right. Why do you think someone wide? Because and were those 1,500 books on Amazon, or was that just in general
That's
everywhere?
total. They actually were very accommodating, because I'm like, hey, how many books are we selling? What are my numbers? And they're like, oh, hey, 3 months. We'll collect the numbers, and then you'll get them in 3 months after that. And I'm like, oh, come on, please. And they said, well, since you are our best-selling author for the imprint, we'll give you the numbers weekly at the end of the week. We'll give you, here's how many books you sold this week. And of each one, and I'm looking, book 1, 600, book 2, 400, book 3, 400. I'm like, hey, yeah. And it was wide. It was all sources. It was Apple, Kobo, Amazon, and B&N.
Do you know how many of those were the breakout between ebook and paperback?
They didn't do paperbacks until February, because they had to bid for shelf space with Barnes and Noble.
Bid, so
So
they had to pay.
they make the pitch.
Okay.
We didn't buy any front space. They weren't big enough, so they just got it on. They got that shelf space. So
Interesting.
and the way they did it is they did a bind up of the first 3 books. I
Mm-hmm.
published book 4 in December. Well, I gave it to them at the beginning of November, and they published it in January, but it was too late to include it. So they didn't publish that in a paperback for a whole more other year. So that
Wow.
wasn't in paperback until January of 2018. And I wrote the series, was bestseller in August of 2016.
Do you still have? Do you still talk with them at all, or has that
Oh, you bet.
relationship?
You bet.
It'd
You
be
bet. I still,
interesting to ask them about. I'd be curious. Where do they advertise for Apple? And obviously, I'm not asking for something that they think is going to give away the farm, but to get 1,500 books out there, I mean, they
they
either
have
have a
they have
email
a
list.
righteous post-apoc list,
Okay.
and they have a magazine of books and stories. And this was the very first foray, because they were huge in Zompoc, right? Zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
And they were trying to expand. And so here they got a survivalist book out of Alaska. And so they loved that aspect of it, and they loved the story. So I was happy. But it was the first foray. So they were targeting their Zompoc list and targeting survival. And that's where that was the niche that this imprint owned. They didn't do any advertising. It was all hitting their list and working people who followed them.
Okay. Interesting. Because that's a lot of freaking sales in just 3 or 4 months. Well,
Yeah.
weeks. And to
Yeah.
continue doing that. You touched on something that I think is still incredibly relevant, which is niche. If you're going to be new, creating a niche and owning that is a lot easier than trying to be bigger and broader. I do remember a lot of people, I didn't suffer from this because I came from a sales background. so I already knew this feature, but a lot of people believe that everybody is my potential reader. Everybody is, unless you're nonfiction and how to survive in life type situation in a post-apocalyptic world. I doubt everybody is your particular audience. In fact, I know it isn't, but I just don't want to be prescriptive.
Yeah.
So, what about talk to me about the concept of niche and how you would suggest to a person who's brand new, how do I find my niche? What is it that, if I'm trying to do sales, I don't want to be shoehorned into anything. What about this concept of doing a pen name for this genre and that genre? Those are things that we hear all the time.
Hmm. It finally it finally registered, and I simplified it and boiled it all the way down to genre equals marketing. This, I write a little bit like Stephen King with a twist of Neil Gaiman and a splash of J.K. Rowling. Nobody cares about any of that. What they care about is where you're going to find the biggest core readership who will like your story. If you write zombie post-apocalyptic, go find those books, go find those authors, and you can target them with your marketing as long as your story, those readers read your story and aren't put out saying, "Hey, that's not my kind of story." So then you have missed with your genre. So genre and niche is all about where are those readers who will like your book. If it's poetry, you're not going to sell poetry to high fantasy readers. I mean, it's different. It's a different crowd. So you've got to find what that is. And genre, Amazon tries to make it easy. All of the distributors try to make it easy and say, hey, pick a category. They leave it up to you. Just pick one. And then Amazon, you can ask for extra ones, but just understand you're looking for where are the most readers who will like your stuff. So how do you exploit that?
I
In
think
my
yes. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, okay, so I think just the other day I was looking at numbers for sales. I don't remember if it was in a foreign language because we've been doing things in translations, but I seem to remember that horror as a whole is 1/10 the size of like urban fantasy. I mean, or if you include maybe even sci-fi. So those people who like horror, it's like, hey, you might still be a part of something that's $50 million, let's say, for the sake of just throwing a number out in sales annually. That seems like a lot until you realize, well, these others are $500 million
Well,
in
and
potential sales.
the horror, and then you find out, well, Stephen King gets 35 million of that 50. So
Yeah.
you break it down to what is the potential. But
Hmm.
if you write like Stephen King, you've spent 10 years writing your magnum opus, and it is very Stephen King-ish, then you absolutely go after his readers. If his readers will like your stuff. So then maybe horror is the right one. And when you first said it, I thought you meant WHORE. And I'm like, oh, hey, come on, man, be cool. But horror, okay, yeah, something different. Um, different
I'm sorry.
genres.
I'm on
Target
a different caffeine help this morning, so.
target your genre appropriately, and spelling is important here. um, but science fiction. If you go after, hey, I'm going to write a science fiction book and I'm going to target sci-fi. Well, there's subgenres, and you need to dial that in to find where the core reader is going to come from. Like I love J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter because it was unique at the time, even though there were witches in America. I mean, look at Bewitched, a show from the '60s. It was a witch in modern day society, right? So urban fantasy, right there, you have it. Well, J.K. Rowling made it mainstream. She made that niche. She owned it. And thanks to Scholastic and their marketing efforts, they developed that, and then all of a sudden people are coming into her as opposed to her going into other people's genres trying to steal their readers. She went in those books when Scholastic first got into it. They said, we're going to sell to everybody because everybody is going to like this. And I think 9% of the readers in English have read Harry Potter, or at least claim to have read Harry Potter, which means 91% haven't. Oh my God, look at the marketing potential. So we don't have her
Yeah.
budget, but
Well, the
there's
other thing that's really cool about her is, I mean, what's her minimum age reader? And even though you're talking about someone who's a child that's incredibly smart, but you're probably talking somewhere around the 10, 11, 12 is the minimum reader for her. So every
that's what I thought.
year, every year, how many millions of new 12-year-olds are there to go after? And then from there, she has the ability to market all the way up to 91.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just it is really a compelling situation. And the more I see what's going on in our industry, the more excited I am because I realize that there's almost no way for someone to own our industry.
No, no, or any single genre, not anymore. The opportunity is there, and we can go after it just as easily and readily as anybody else. I mean, we can't throw massive amounts of money at it. I mean, I think Scholastic spent 10
100
million,
million?
10,
Oh, I thought it was,
100 million
they bet the farm. They
that
bet the
first year. Yeah.
farm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to spend $100 million on advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't have it. I mean, even 100,000, maybe, but I would only commit that if I knew I was going to get some kind of payback. I'm not just going to throw 100,000 out there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this summer, many authors have been spending to the tune of 20 or 15 to $50,000 a month in what's going on, and I think it's interesting because I don't remember this situation happening last year. At least I don't, I guess I didn't play in the areas of the people who were doing it, excluding there's romance and they were doing it on Facebook. But for those that were doing it in Facebook, they might spend $20,000, $30,000 on one book to get $100,000. This is a more concerted effort, people using the concierge service with Amazon advertising. And, we see what's going on. So it's interesting just the sheer amount of money, but just in short, the amount of money that we've spent here as we're going, it'll take 2.5 months before our spend and our income from that spend will equate daily. Now, my opinion is that it probably took somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks of spend before, if we had shut it off, then the tail end of the spend would have eventually caught up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But advertising spend itself, there's the amount of just the spend, and there's also the time of the spend, because some people need one time to see the ad to buy. Some people might need 20 times. It's like, fine, fuck you, I've seen it 20 times, I'll go well, what if you'd not shown it that one more time to get over their reticence? I'm going to look it up, by the way, while you talk, because I'm curious to make sure I don't say the wrong amount of money that Scholastic spent, but they did bet the farm.
I thought it was upwards of 100 million. I thought 10 million the first year and 100 million as soon as they started getting traction. And then with the movie, then indeed they bet the farm. It made their company because Scholastic wasn't doing that well. So they bet the farm, and the payoff was huge. And also, I just want to note that Michael was the first one to drop the F-bomb during this episode.
Did I?
You did. Yeah, you did. You can play it back. You said "fuck you," so yeah, you did. Yeah, I did.
Wow!
Come on, somebody comment that he did. You heard it. It wasn't just me.
Usually, I'm well aware of when I said this time jet lag. It was jet lag. I'm going to use that.
Come on, man. Nobody's backing me up here. Jeez, they're hanging me out. They're hanging me out.
Yeah, it's just because you wanted me to say it. I did not remember.
You did. You did.
You're gonna go ahead.
But marketing and advertising, as a new author, shepherd those dollars and use them wisely. He did. See, somebody committed. Somebody confirmed. He did. Use those dollars wisely. I spent a lot more money in July than I did in August, and August was a much bigger month. But that went with releases and hitting the right tone with the ads. So I drew back in ads and increased in sales. I've got one ad on Facebook that I'm spending $20 to $30 a day that's earning $120 to $150 a day. And if I could cut those off right now, and I would still see that tail because it's page reads. It's a 3,000 page read book. So a massive win for the home team. And with a 3,000 page read book, I'm getting 20 to 30,000 page reads a day on as well as sales at $4.99. So pricing strategy, this is something else we can talk about to make sure you get your sales right. I always say dress for the job you want. And if everybody in your genre is pricing, everybody relative, probably the majority, pricing their books at $4.99, I would suggest pricing your book at $4.99. Even if you're a new author, you don't want to look like, hey, here's my new book and it's only $2.99. Please buy it. It'll look cheap. Hey, it's $4.99 and here's can you please buy it? And you have to be patient and this is one thing, people who publish their first book and then make $10,000 that first month are the rarity of the rarities. That rarely happens. Michael published his first book, which has gone on to sell 1 million copies.
Well,
But
not the
that
first,
first,
but the series.
but the series of, but that first
Yeah.
book, you sold, a good 100 copies that first month.
No, I made like $389 off 3 books released that month. On the third day of my release, I made 97 cents. I didn't even crack the amount of money necessary to buy a 16-ounce Coca-Cola on my third day.
And this is a book and a series that is very, very well loved, and 1 million copies of the series, right? A million
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
books have gone
Definitely
out the
that
door.
situation. I can't get the numbers, so maybe you and I are both talking, smoke out of our rear end on the quantity. But I do remember that Scholastic, when I was reading into it, they did bet the farm. They created a grassroots and just put, everybody behind making that one. They spent $105,000 to get the rights for the book one. So if anybody who can actually answer the question in the chat group, that would be great. How much did Scholastic spend, time, effort, and everything else that first year to make Harry Potter the success back in '97 that it was? But just it does go to show, though, that an excellent story. But if Scholastic, and by the way, she was already doing well in UK, so she had already sold the rights in UK. But here in America, Scholastic is the one that did the marketing muscle to make it what it is. How would you suggest people who freak out because even $20 a day, which is 600 a month, is not something, they don't have it in the budget? They're a new author. They don't know whether or not it's worthwhile, because we think about it as like, if from day one you're not going to see that money back from the sales for minimum 60 days,
Yeah.
61 days, but more than likely 75 to 90 days.
Yep.
And
Yep.
what do you see about that? What's the marketing if you have? How would you market if you have no money? What's the minimally viable product? How would you go about it?
Yeah, finding readers, and this is where, if you're a new author, one thing that we've set up on 20 books is the MVP threads, where there's separate groups by genre and dialed down to subgenre, that you read each other's first 3,000 words, and is it good, is it not? And as you find other authors who are similar, not in style but maybe in story, then you could start sharing each other's words or works. So as you start developing your readership, somebody else is, and sharing and collaborating that word, even though you're not co-authoring, it's all you, it's all your own personal words, but collaborating to then find and explore readership and climb that mountain. So I would suggest, and this is one thing why I came over to 20 books to 50K from K-Boards with you, is because like-minded authors, even though it was the first 50 people were 37 different genres, it grew, and we had like-minded people, and we shared then. We couldn't do that now, not with 33,000 people. There's actually more than 33,000. But that's what we did at the initial. So we started these MVP threads. So if you're sweet romance, you can go over and find an MVP thread and say, hey, can I jump in and somebody take a look at my book? And then you all get on board. Now, you take the feedback for what it's worth, because it's a fellow author. Somebody might be a troll in there. You never know. But you just find and start exploring that way. Patience. I mean, yeah, we write fast. We were writing a book a month. My first year, I published 13 books. But you have to have the patience to build up properly. And I built each month. I made like $50 my first month. But by the August of that year, I made $3,100 on the first 6 or 7 books. And I'm like, hey, look at this. I had a nice chart going with a logarithmic kind of, as opposed to a linear. Hey, I made 500, then I made 750, then I made 1,000. Okay, that's a linear, where it was 500, then 1,000, then 2,000, then and started climbing up, right? And that did not include my trad pub, which that kind of irked me that I had missed that part of the contract. That the August sales, my 1,500 sales a week, right? Oh my God, look at this, is killing it! Yay! I got paid promptly in March, so that's
Promptly 9 months later.
So that's the issue when you're working with TradPub, and actually, some of those only got paid once a year, or whatever. But it was a huge check, right? I went and bought a truck. So thanks for that, August 2016. Yeah, but so as you're looking at things, it takes time. You build it up. I have not had a runaway winner. I've made some good money on books, but I have not had a book launch and all of a sudden I made $100,000 off that book because it went viral. I mean, you never know on
I've
Twitter
never
or
had
whatever that's going to go viral. No, you had to work hard. You had to invest a lot of money. Yes, you made 40,000 your fourth month,
no, it was
10,000
like
your
month.
fourth
Uh, well, I was hitting six figures of income by month, basically 1 year.
month.
But
Okay.
back in July, I think I did hit 50,000. So it went more like 400, 300, whatever net. Then a 3,000 month one, 10,000 month two, 14, 18, 25, 30, 30. It was kind of, that was the scope.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, it was really difficult to hit more than a couple 3,000 for me,
Yeah.
but others have had phenomenal success. We could, speak to Scott Paul. He was doing a nice 8,000, I think, in the beginning, and then all of a sudden he did Federal Witch, and he released his first one was just a short story book zero on
Yeah.
a purchased cover, and it went stupid viral. And
He
it's like,
made 40 grand that month on a short. It was like a
next
10,000
book,
word story.
but yeah, no, he didn't make it on that one, but the follow-up book one, which he wrote really fast. Yeah, he did 40, $50,000, I think, that first release month. And I'd
Yeah.
never had one book do that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
kudos.
And most people don't. This is Michael Anderle. I mean, to get those sales now, to get $250,000 in sales, it takes new material. It takes a lot of advertising. It takes a foundational effort. It takes paying a lot of people to support that effort. Infrastructure, whether it's covers, whether it's editors, whether it's other artists, whether it's co-authors. There's so many different ways that building, but as a businessman, I would say if I spend $10 today and in 2 months I'm going to get $20 back, that is a very, very good investment. And in authoring, the author business, our returns can be so much bigger than that
Well,
because yeah.
new authors. So back, in the beginning, the heyday of writing like a motherfucker. So I did remember saying that one. I wrote a short story called "You Don't." Basically, you don't want to mess with John, or I forget the exact title of it. Even though, regardless, the short story is probably 18,000 words. Last month, 3 years later, last month that book still made $50. I haven't thought about that book. I haven't, you know, HR has not called me on the book. Nothing else has happened. They haven't called in sick. The book still produced $50 of income. And you get this opportunity that you don't know just the long term. And so if, for example, you had 50 of those $50 a month books, that's $2,500 to your bottom line. And so you're constantly going to be building this. And so just remember it as a new author. Some of us can throw around some really large numbers because even, the first number of saying 250,000, that's not all the income the company brings in. We have audio on top of that. We have IP licensing on top of that. We have translations on top of that. So yeah, but how much did we spend to get here? And the answer is millions of dollars to get here.
Yeah. Yeah. Millions.
So don't stress that part.
Yeah. But millions to make millions.
Yeah.
There are people who say it takes money to make money. As an author, it takes time or money. And one thing Michael Anderle is not patient. So so if Michael can invest $100,000 to make 150, Michael will invest 100,000 as opposed to waiting 5 years to then make that 150. So, and the same with me. I'm impatient as hell. So I have no problem spending money to make money, and understanding that if I spend money today, I'll make it in 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, like last year.
Yeah, but let's
Setting up
talk.
for
So
this year.
new authors, trying to bring ourselves back to that. How much do you think is the minimum amount of money an author who has no other means of support has to spend? Has to. And this is a very controversial topic.
Yes.
But bootstrapping, which is something that Kevin is going to be speaking about at the 20 books, but bootstrapping. So if you're not going to be there, is his going to be recorded? Do you know
Yes.
offhand?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
it is.
So, what do you have to spend? And the answer is very freaking little.
Yeah. And Barry, go jump on YouTube and look
Hmm.
for Barry Hutchison's 20
Hmm.
Books London video, and you will find him talking about it. And he goes about it. He spent zero. He spent exactly zero to publish his first, I think, 3 or 4 books because his wife wouldn't let him spend any money. She said, "You can only spend the money you make back in your business, but do not spend any of the family's money." And he said, "Yes, dear," as we all do, and did it for zero. He learned Photoshop. He had the editing. He had people who would beta read and edit. So was his book edited perfectly? Perfect is a relative statement. It was edited well enough. It sold well enough. He did royalty share on the audiobooks. So he had no money out of pocket. And he is doing very, very well. It actually took him, I think, 2 months before the audiobooks started earning big money for him, even though it was a royalty share. So spent nothing, but he spent a lot of time. He invested a lot of time helping people, helping other people,
Hmm.
as well as learning how to make a cover that was right for his genre, which was space comedy. Because you look at those covers and you're like, this is ridiculous. Well, no, it's not ridiculous if you are a fan of Monty Python, and
Hmm.
it hit those readers right where they needed to be.
Yeah.
So he did it right. He and did it for no money. But his big point was, don't be a dick, be friendly to people, help them out without any expectation of return, and and go forth, write a great book. And he's actually said a good book. All you need to do is write a good book, but good enough that the readers will pay for it and then buy the next one. So
Hmm. I think that not necessarily. I didn't tell my wife that I was writing. She didn't find out until I was almost releasing book three. I already had two up on Amazon, and she's like, "What are you doing?" When she's finally like noticing that I'm constantly typing, constantly doing this, I'm like, "Well, I'm publishing these stories. What are you talking about?" And then I had to go show her. So yeah, I didn't ask permission.
but that's so how do you make money if you have no money for advertising? Friends. You don't come in and say, please, can you share my book? And that's the only time anybody ever hears from you, is you're trying to get them to share your book. Hey, I have 10 readers. They're very engaged. I think they'll like your book. I'll share it for you, and no expectation of return. And if you can get 10 sales for somebody, hey, that's a win. The You help other people. It's amazing when you help other people how they'll be willing to help you, and not all of them will. Don't expect that. Don't reach out to the biggest author in the business and expect that he or she is going to help you just because, hey, I'm a nice person. You have to play part of the game, and it's not a game. I mean, it's life. You go help somebody. If somebody's stuck in the snow, you go shovel them out and push them out, and that's it. You go on your merry way. You do it because it's the right thing to do, not necessarily you're going to get something out of it. So that's bootstrapping. That's the way to do it, because time. Now you're helping other people with your time. And helping might even be just, hey, I'll beta read for you. I write, but I'll beta read just to help you out
Hmm.
and maybe learn a tip or two. So you don't have to advertise, but as you start making money, you're going to realize, I can now invest in my business. And that's why advertising, and you're gonna advertise stuff, and it's not going to pay off, and you're going to be pissed, and you still have to move on. You have to find and learn how to advertise. That's a great thing about 20 books. We have so many people and so many different avenues where you can work on those things. You go join Brian Meek's Mastering Amazon Ads group, and you look at those tips or tricks. We recommend only very, very few books. Facebook ads, help my Facebook ads suck. I mean, from Mal Cooper. Take a look at that one, and you'll find that for $5. So, what is the minimum you need to invest? You can get a video editing program online for free. You can edit for free with help from your friends, unless you're really bad at English. So then you might have to pay somebody. But the the little things here and there. If you have $100, you can publish a book. If you have zero, you can publish a book. Just one will save you some time, and the other one won't. It's time or money. Those are the two things that you have to do, and it's engagement, because time, how long is it going to take you to work with these other authors where they're willing to share your stuff? So that's what it is. If you just pop up and say, hey, I've got a book, I have no money, can you share it? Nobody is going to share that. How can I help you? Period. That's it. No expectation. And at some point in time, after you've helped, maybe they'll say, hey, how can I help you? Thank you for that. And then you say, well, hey, I have a book. Okay, good enough. Yeah. And maybe it's just somebody reading it and saying, hey, here's some comments, or yes, I'll give you a plug. Comment from USA Today bestselling author. I mean, that's cool. Getting a note, a one-liner even.
So I've often said that there are like 6 things that you need to get right: your cover, your title, your blurb, your actual book. Let's talk about that. You got your editing, and then you also have your social media platform, which can include your email, can include your Facebook, include all of these things. You have to remember that if you're playing this game requires you to understand publishing as well. If you just want to write, then you need to find somebody. It so happens that I do know of a few husband-wife teams where one is the writer, one's the rest of it, the operations, or you can find somebody who happens to like it and they're willing to do stuff. But it does, I mean, you're going against companies who already have the infrastructure. They already have all of these things. And even though Amazon predominantly is the one who democratized indie publishing, it just means that you get to do all of it now, or you need to outsource it or something. But the challenge that I would have is there are still lots and lots and lots of sharks, because they do realize that those that want to write are willing to give up a lot, and they're just happy that anybody is paying attention to them from an emotional level, and they don't pay attention to the contracts. And the next thing you know, the person who understands the contracts is going, we own this stuff. And if you happen to become successful 6 months or 9 months later, tough luck. They have you in a contract, and you're going to have to give up that IP probably in order to get anything done, because you're not going to have the legal background to argue with them, or the money, or the time. So don't get caught that way. Please don't get caught that way. And they will hit you emotionally. This stuff is good. Why don't you let us do this other part? And the next thing you know, they've got a contract, and and then they understand the emotional ways to keep you happy with them. And I've seen it done, and I still know people who are in that, and it's sad.
Yeah. That's if you and important tip, if you ever have to pay someone money to publish your book, you don't want to work with them, because now you are the product, not your book. So they're selling to you, and sure, they may format it for you, put a cover on it, give you 100 copies, but you've paid a lot, and that's all you're going to get. They're not going to sell your book. Now, for some people, that is exactly what they want, and I learned that in my class that I taught at the university last semester. Was that some people, that's all they wanted. I'm only going to publish this one book. I'm 83 years old, for Pete's sake. I'm like, oh, okay. So I paid this company $7,000. They put a cover on it. They're going to send me 100 copies. I'm going to sell them at the farmer's market and give copies to all my family. Okay, cool. She got exactly what she wanted. She knew very well what she was doing, and she was not going to publish it herself. Okay, good. But understand that she was the product, and she understood that. She didn't think that they were going to sell any books for her. They're not going to take it to Hollywood and make you a big star. All they're going to do is take your money and give you what you paid for, which is a certain amount of books. Here's formatting, and I'm suggesting that if you want to make a career, don't ever pay anybody else to publish your books. So that's something. And don't also be very, very careful about hiring. Hey, I see ads all the time on Facebook, because I must target authors, people who claim to be authors, that 0 words to 100,000 words and a bestseller in 30 days. What in the hell is that? I mean, yeah, I'm smart enough now, and I know what it takes to write a book in 30 days and have it become a bestseller, which you can't control. Only the readers can do that by buying it. And somebody saying, if you've never written a word before and I can have you a bestseller in 30 days, that's bullshit. Do not click on that link. That's why in 20 books we endorse very, very few things, because they're things that we've done and we believe in. So if you see one of us saying, here's Mark's course, and I do get an affiliate cut from that, but here's Mark's course, it's real. The SPF courses are real, and they deliver. They deliver for people who write poetry, for who write nonfiction, who write fiction in series. They deliver because they go through the basics. SPF 101 is about building that foundation, and Ads for Authors is the ultimate advertising platform training, because they go into all of it. And it's a lifetime thing. So as they add new courses or new sections, say Reddit takes off and now Reddit advertising is the big thing. Well, when Mark does a section on Reddit advertising, if you were in it before, hey, you'll get the new material at no additional cost because you have a lifetime access. And those are the only things. So if we don't endorse it, doesn't mean it's not good. It's just we haven't seen it. We don't believe in it. We believe in the ones that we'll make a pitch for.
I would clarify to say it's not that we don't believe that they could be good, but we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah.
And so there have been plenty of people who we support, but we don't personally engage with them to use their products. And there's only a couple of us that have the ability on 20 books to say this is approved to be put out there. And so the short answer is it's much easier to go no. We don't do any of it, and only because we personally have made a decision. Otherwise, it's not worth asking us, because the liability alone is too much of a problem.
Oh my God, yeah. Because what if somebody gets taken for a ride? I mean, we don't want to do that to 20 bookers. So if you see me or Michael recommend something, hey, there you are, then it's not bad. The value is there, and we know it.
And you can usually get out of it.
So all of those have money back guarantees.
Yeah. So there's no risk. You can try it. We believe I guess what we're saying at that time is it's absolutely worth your time to try this. And if it doesn't work for you, which it might not, you get your money back. Done.
Yep. Yeah. All of Mark's courses have a 30-day money back guarantee.
Yeah.
The conference, 20 Books Conference, Vegas, if you were lucky enough to get a ticket, the refund runs out, I think September 25th is the last day for refunds. And that's a physical constraint based on PayPal. Since everybody paid with PayPal allows refunds for up to 6 months. So that's the only reason, because outside of 6 months, then I have to eat the PayPal fee, which for a U.S. person is $4.56. And for anybody paying outside of the U.S., Canada, UK, Australia, Japan, it is $6.10, $6.20. So if I refunded outside of that, I would have to eat that PayPal fee and just send you your money back.
6 weeks or 6 months?
6 months. 6 months.
But we're going in November. So how does September 25th, the cutoff date?
People paid on March 29th.
Oh, 6 monts from when they paid.
When they paid. Yep.
Okay. So what about people who paid that's right, it sold out. Never mind.
Well, and some people have paid later. However, September 25th, just because finalizing the numbers, and it's serendipitous because I will be at Samstown September 26th, 11 a.m. and with you, my hardy BMW driving chauffeur. We'll go over there to get and see like the tripods and what is size of the placards that we'll be able to buy and put up. And but the 26th, 27th, so I'll be able to give them, here's exactly how many people we have. And then, of course, some people may drop off, but we'll confirm, commit.
Last year, wasn't there a pretty decent amount? Like some people, hey, we have a medical situation going on. We have 2 tickets. Does somebody else want them? Mm-hmm. How does that work out?
It is so painful to add somebody because there's multiple steps, especially now with Sked. And one thing we did this year was we also oversold. So even though we had 1,000 seats, we currently have, I think, 1,060 people registered, because the last 5 conferences, we had about 10% of the people just not show. So we oversold, expecting people not to show, and that we will have the right number of seats and then some. There will be plenty of extra room, because there's some people, Mark Lefebvre, he doesn't sit down. So even though he's there
You
and
will
he
always
paid,
see Mark. Yeah,
he
just if you're looking at the front, right? If you're looking at the stage, turn around and look for the guy at the very back that's tall.
with the bald head.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but that's true. Look back there, you will see Mark. He'll be at the back.
Yeah, so that's so Mark paid for a seat, but he's not going to use it. So and there will be a number of people standing, and there'll be a number of people who have seats and are registered, but they're going to be at like the check-in table or elsewhere.
Yeah,
And I mean, we
helping.
will accommodate everybody. If you want to sit down, there will be an empty seat to put your butt into.
Yeah, I'll
We'll
get
have
up and get
tables,
my feet if I need to, so no problem.
as I will as well. I stand almost the whole time, or up on stage, or off in the wings, something like that. We will have tables. I want at least one row, maybe two rows across the back for those people who need to use the tables. I've heard something about sunflower lanyards. We don't have those. But if you have some kind of it's the sunflower. It's a new thing that identifies somebody who's disabled that may not necessarily look like it. Hey, they
Okay.
stand up straight. They look. They're not in a wheelchair, but they have a sunflower. It's, hey, I need to sit down, or I can't walk very far. But other things that may. And I'm not questioning anyone. It's just, hey, if you need a table, please. And if you don't sit at the table, because we'll have people who really do need it. They can't sit in a chair. They have to lean. I mean, you see me on the broadcasts here. I lean on the table only because if I lean back, then I'm just a little head, and nobody wants a little head. Sorry. That was way beneath me.
Oh, for those that are listening to this in audio, all I did is shake my head no. I wasn't touching that. Period.
So Vegas, we're going there, and we're also identifying exactly the number of seats. So 150. We put like 150 for the one room. It's supposed to be able to hold like 250 or 300. The other one I put 250. It's supposed to hold like 400. But I was hedging my bet based on tables, what they would take up. We're going to get the exact numbers, and then we'll clarify that stuff. So you'll see that you may have waitlisted for a session, and then all of a sudden, come September 29th, holy cow, look at that! I'm in. Yeah,
so I'm going to totally try
that.
something since we're going to be there anyway. Actually, I'll probably get Mike Bray to help. But you and I spoke about it, that the room that I'm going to be in, because it's so late at night. And one of the reasons that we did this Ask Mike Anything thing is because I'll go to events and some people will just be too concerned to come up and just ask me a question, even though I'm more than happy. And I was like, I put my jeans one leg at a time. So I did this late night thing where I'm like, hey, just come to the thing. Everybody can talk. It'll be great. And we'll be able to get an opportunity to ask questions. Well, what we didn't realize, or at least I didn't realize, is there wouldn't be a room big enough, because I figured at 10 o'clock at night, I mean, what, 20 people?
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
20, 30. We'll see who shows up at 10. Hang on just a second. Let me pull up the number. Oh, you have 155 registered.
Yeah. So at 10 o'clock at night for a room that probably holds 40, 50.
Because we're going to have tables. We had 100 in there last year with just tables, with just chairs and standing room, and that was way too many. But there's going to be tables. It probably 40 is going to be a stretch. What I'm going to try to do when we're there in September is try to open one of the other rooms, the bigger ones.
Well, one of the things I thought about is I want to talk to the cinema, and I'm going to go see if one of their cinema items can be opened, because they have a full movie theater there, right?
Oh my God! I want to go see if maybe. Theater.
Yeah, so I want to go see whether or not I can rent one of their theaters there for that night. And it's like, well, screw this, especially if I can get popcorn. So it's just like, everybody line up, grab your Coke, grab your popcorn, go take a seat. We're going to have a fun time. So I'm going to see if that's possible, because if it would, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I recognize this at that time.
I'm not sure, but I think we might be able to get one of the other rooms open. So because I've got 90 signed up for the early morning session. So we might be able to get that as well. I don't want to put anybody out. I just want to go talk to people, just say hi.
Exactly.
And I know you and I both are going to be running around and pulled different directions in different ways and pulled into nooks and crannies. And we have our own separate meetings that will be uh, uh, running as well. So this is an opportunity just to go hang out and talk. 155, that's a lot of people, but it's going to be a nice chat. It'll be you talking with them, and 10, it'll probably end at midnight, I think, or even later, because it's everybody will be engaged. People will be asking questions. It'll be cool. And with that many, I think we need to get you into a room with audio, so you can fire up the mic and they can hear you.
We'll go same stage live. Next thing you know, you're coming like, where the hell is this music coming from?
You got karaoke going on the
hey.
Yeah. The only reason we can't use Samsung Live at that time of night is anytime you use it, you have to have the full crew.
How much does that cost?
It's a lot. It's a lot. And also it would be double time because it'd be like 10 to midnight after we already had them during the day. It would kind of screw them because I have to show up at 8 in the morning and then leave at 5. So we're already paying an hour of overtime. So that would throw them completely out of sync because it's the same guys.
I still think the cinema, I mean, a bigger room, obviously, and there's no telling whether or not the cinema could be done, but man, that would be cool to have a bunch of movie theater popcorn.
Oh man, just record it and you sit in the show, you sit in with them.
Yeah.
Remember Jurassic Park? Jurassic Park, where they're showing the video of Dino DNA.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was up on stage in the show, and it was showing him and doing the Dino DNA thing. Yeah. That could be you.
That could be. Probably not, but could be. So those particular items we spoke about, you can do a minimally viable product. It still has to be a good product. Advertising can be done. The FAQ has a lot of good suggestions. We have years of conversations about this. All you have to do is understand how to use the search, which is unfortunately not the best in the group. I will totally admit. We tried, actually, if you don't know the history, we tried to go to a different solution than Facebook group, but nobody wanted to leave Facebook. It's just too convenient. So we had to come back. There are a lot of things going on. It's certainly challenging to be brand new and to be young, but into the industry, but it's still infinitely doable. And there are ways to get around it. I think our industry is always going to have some level of just stratification, which means there's always a new opportunity. Always a new opportunity. So have hope and figure out how to get it done, because it is on you, unfortunately.
The conference, if you're a new author who has not published before, I think we have 200 people registered who have not published before. So why would they go to a conference on self-publishing?
Well, one is just relationship. At least that's the thing that I've always said. If you're coming to this conference, it's great that we have all of this training, all of this stuff from people who've been there, who do it, who love to teach, who love to share, but you need to meet somebody. Do whatever you can to actually just meet 2 people, 3 people. And we hear, especially whenever we go back, like when we did Edinburgh, we had a lot of people who had been at London, and they had said that, I remember speaking to one person who said, I met one person who changed my professional career. We're the best of friends right now, and I met them at London, and it made all of it worthwhile. And we hear those kind of conversations all the time. And then I also hear the opposite, where it's like, I did go to XYZ, and I was too scared to meet with people. So I've decided this time I'm not going to do it. So don't be that situation. Recognize you will be challenged, but still do it. If nothing else, come up and just say to Craig, thank you very much for putting this on. And then you've accomplished first step. Because Craig's not going to go, whatever. Well, I hope you won't.
No. But if there's 200 people who have never published before, there's 800 who have. So you have a 1 in 4 chance, if you find somebody, that they're going to be you're going to find them and they have published
3
before.
and 4, but sure.
3 and 4. Well, 1 in 4 that the person has not.
Yes.
So
wouldn't that be something 1, 2, 3? We want people over.
We want the positive. Look for somebody who has, and meet them, talk to them about your genre. That's why we put genre on the badge. Genre equals marketing. So on mine, I put science fiction. I've written thriller, I've written mystery, I've written other ones, but I'm going to put science fiction because that is my wheelhouse. Michael will put all of them as he usually does, or Amish cyberpunk. I mean, one or the other.
No,
He's
that's not
working.
me. That was
Oh,
you. But
that might have been me. But still, look for the people with your genre or subgenre, and that's why when you're thinking genre equals marketing. If you put like 6 words for your genre, no one will understand what you're talking about. Even though it's like that's exactly my niche. Look for the
post-apocalyptic
biggest
zombie science fiction paranormal romance
with dragons.
with dragons. Well, then
And
it'll sell.
I mean, some people will put that to start the conversation, but we just don't have that much space on the badges. And you don't want somebody's face buried in your chest trying to figure out what you wrote. So, in order to avoid that discomfort, write big and write simple. So, and write on your badge how you want to be known at the show. Because some people, hey, they have this one thing, but then they write their real first name on the badge, and nobody knows who you are, what you did, what you've done.
We saw a really cool effort. Was this at Edinburgh? Where maybe you'll remember who it was, but he did a shirt of his book covers,
Mm-hmm.
which we
Yeah,
recognized that. That was awesome.
that was Steve, I believe.
Yeah, I don't
But
remember
he wrote, I write,
these.
I, I write books. No, what kind of books? I don't remember anymore. the still, but he wrote that huge. That was his shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think, if nothing else, that is a great starter. And it was a wonderful
Yeah,
thing because immediately I go, I recognize those. I understand what those are because I've either looked at them because you do it in advertising, you understand who's on the charts. And so you read them,
yeah.
maybe you read them as well. And it's like, oh, wow, you were, so cool. So we probably need to drop it. It's past our hour.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just checked. Holy cow. We've talked. So, oh man, we could go on forever about this stuff. Combine the conference, but it's reaching out. Bootstrapping is about relationships as well, because money or time. If you've got the money, well, then you can buy advertising space and learn that way, or hire somebody. Even though I would always recommend you need to know what you're doing first in order to give better direction to people you hire. So uh, you can get there with little money, but then you have to go. If your books continually and consistently don't sell, then there may be an issue with the story. And that's something you have to consider. Take off your artist hat and put on your business hat and start analyzing what is the issue. So
And
it's
it could be, you just have to realize that your market is very small. And if you love your books and it's so niche, you could be okay with that. Just
yeah,
now you're okay with realizing why you didn't sell as much as you had hoped.
yeah.
Nobody wants the post-apocalyptic Amish romance sci-fi paranormal werewolf thriller.
And that could be part of the issue as well. Genre equals marketing. You could be writing in too small of a genre, or you could be writing a book that people don't go to book 2 on. That's another great metric. If you sell book 1, if you sell 10 copies of book 1 and only 1 goes on to book 2, there's a problem with book 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's there's a problem with linking book 2 to book 1. Either the readers don't like book 1, or there was too long in between and you never got them on your email list or something, and now you're looking for them fresh. So that's I know a number of people have done that. Not hook the readers, but then relaunch and say, hey, we got 4 books out now, and start fresh. Because if you had 10 readers back then and they liked it, well, then just do a relaunch. Start with 1, put it on sale, and reach out and touch people. All
Craig
right.
Falconer, I'm just going to put this out there. Craig Falconer, besides having an amazing accent, is a nice guy. And if you see him, say hi. I'm just going to start bugging people that I know that show up to these things and start dropping names. And they're going to go, why did you do that?
Yeah. Craig Falconer, I think on Kilt Day, which is Wednesday, he'll be dressed up as well. And actually, because of him, I'm going to go with white hose instead of the black stuff, because my flashes with the Marine Corps tartan were lost in my socks. So I'm going to go with white socks so you can see the cool Marine Corps tartan. Not like you'll miss it anyway on my my cool kilt. But anyway, you guys have a good one, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks for stopping by and listening in to
Absolutely.
us and our
Cheers.
mindless rambling. and
This is why we
oftentimes
don't do this professionally.
and rare times cursing.
Rare
And
my